Back here on Sports Night, Willie Donick, Darren McFarland here with you at SEC Media Days. And the fun just beginning here in Birmingham. All kinds of people around us, and we are pleased to be joined by ESPN's Brock Huard, who is going to be doing all kinds of analysis for the league, and the big stage is set up for ESPN. It's great to have. And it's a little earlier than normal. Brock, this has been a little later in July, but people just can't wait for football, and everybody just sort of dives in when they're here.
You know, it may surprise you guys. I don't know if you've studied this, how shrewd the SEC is. So this is the slowest week in sports, right?
Exactly.
So what does the SEC do? Are we going to have one day of media days? No. Two? No. Let's do all 3 media days at the slowest week of the year. And that way we can make sure we got ESPN and on the stage and ESPNU and the whole world here watching. I mean, I say that tongue-in-cheek, but the SEC gets it. I mean, Mike's Live gets it. This conference gets it. Their coaches get it. They do what it takes at every turn, and that's why they've won 7 consecutive BCS championships.
Let's start with Mike's Live, because he always comes in. He's got his message ready. He addressed the media today. What jumped out at you most? One thing that hit us as he was talking about it, he really is pushing for some modifications, some changes in some areas. And I don't know if I want to say or else, but he's really pushing hard. He knows the SEC has a lot of clout in terms of trying to get some evolution in recruiting rules and things like that.
Yeah, and a lot of those things have been on the table. And if you were to take the top 65, the 5 power conferences, and I think if you were to sit down their commissioners and you were to sit down their athletic directors, I think there would be some commonality and some unison with what Mike's Live was talking about today. The challenge is, well, what about those other 60? The challenge is, well, what about maybe even within those 5 power conferences, the athletic departments that aren't as healthy as Alabama and Auburn and Florida and Georgia and the rest. So I understand where he's coming from, and being on the road, and I'll go out and you go to an Oklahoma or you go to a Michigan or you go to a USC, they'd love it. Yeah, the cost of enrollment, good. I got no problem with that. Let's go. Let's sign this thing up. And I think they're frankly fighting the inevitable. And the inevitable is what's going to be coming with the 5 super conferences, just from a revenue standpoint that already separates them from the rest. And I just think inevitably you're going to see those 5 stand apart. The cost of enrollment, a lot of the things that Mr. Slive was talking about eventually come to fruition. You agree?
Absolutely. What in your mind is the timetable? 10 years, 5 years? More?
No, I think you're probably, who knows, right? It's like Pangea with the continents of where this thing is even in the conference realignment's gone the last 5 years. So trying to predict for me what the next 5 or the next 10, I think it's going to be sooner or later. I think as these huge TV revenue deals kick in for the Big Ten and the SEC, and now the ACC has theirs, the Pac-12 where I make home has theirs, and once they really get rolling, which is going to be within the next 5 years, their revenue streams are just frankly different than the rest.
We've had you on to talk pro quarterbacks in the past. There's a lot of great quarterbacks in this league, no doubt about it. Let's start, of course, with the obvious, Johnny Manziel with the Heisman. Hopefully some lessons learned here during this summer, but a guy that's been a lot of fun to watch. Hopefully he handles himself well here this week. He's got a chance, I think, to really shape his image some.
Yes, and I think he has to. And I think he has to tomorrow, most importantly. And he'll sit down with us on the set at 9 a.m. tomorrow, and then he'll sit down in front of all the masses. He's got to attack it head on. This is not something, it's once again, I think, a reminder. And I'm not comparing his transgressions by any stretch to Tiger Woods, but haven't we learned you can't run? On the field, Johnny Football, you can run all you want. Over 1,000 yards, win a Heisman, do unprecedented stuff. Off the field,